Welcome to the Felt Dyslexic Artist Interview. My name is Liz Buckridge. For me, as a dyslexic artist, other artists and creatives have always been my number one inspiration. In these interviews, we talk with artists and creatives who share their stories, and we gain insight into their process from inspiration to art tips, career building, and more. We're so lucky to listen to the wisdom of Kimberly McClure today. I'm so excited to hear about her past and future projects and share insight on life as an artist. Hi.
Well, hello.
Thank you for talking
It's good
today.
Good to be here with you.
Yay. So I'm going to jump right in. Describe the art you make. What medium do you primarily work in, and why do you choose that medium?
So mixed media all the way. That's the short answer, and I feel like the rest of the details will sort of be filled in throughout the interview.
Okay.
Yeah, mixed media, a lot of collage art, a lot of nature botanicals right now, a lot of found objects, some paintings, assemblage, all kinds of mixed, very mixed. Yeah.
Have you ever, well, I can't even say, do you work in any other mediums because that's like all the mediums.
Yeah. So I love this question because I've struggled with how do I start to answer this for myself, because actually the visual arts and this idea of mixed media and labeling what I'm doing creatively as a something has been tricky for me, because my trajectory leading up to this has been different than a lot of visual artists has been. So I don't feel like, I don't know if this is the best time to kind of launch into that trajectory, but I guess why not, right? So I think the best word to describe me, I'm realizing, is interdisciplinary, based on the history that I've had in the arts, that have been a whole slew of creative mediums. So I even hate putting labels on this, like I'm a singer, I'm an actor, but all of these things are a piece of what has gotten me to this place. So I think as a kid, I was all, I guess I'll say, my husband has always says, you're an artist. Yes, you're an artist. And it's taken me a while to own that. But for me, I feel like it is a way of being. It has been a way of being for me rather than a thing that I do or a label that I put on it. And so it's been really cool to me for the last, I'll say 2 years, where I've really been diving into visual arts, to kind of thread through what were the things that I did before that were a piece of this, and how have I moved through these different things. So, now of course I've lost the question that you were asking entirely.
No, it was just what mediums have you worked in the past?
Yeah, so I went to school for theater, and that's what I studied in college. And I landed on that also sort of haphazardly. Like I thought, oh, well, I'll major in, I don't know, I'll be a lawyer and I'll major in this, or I'll major in English and I'll maybe minor in theater. And then eventually it was kind of the thing where I was like, well, I think I've just decided what I want to major in. So for me, what was so extraordinary about studying theater and then working in theater communities throughout my whole life up until just recently, is the fact that it's such a collaboration. And it's such a space where everybody's artistic contributions are necessary and valued to make the whole magic happen. So that is what I really loved about that. And what I realized why I loved it is because I loved all of those things. I loved the set designing. I loved paying attention to the costumes and the textures in the costumes. And, I really valued and appreciated all of it, and could have at any given point and have stepped into any number of those roles aside from just acting. So yeah, that is kind of I don't know, what do they call it? Not the cauldron, but the crucible of like where all of the creative stuff really got birthed for me is in that setting. Yeah. It's exciting stuff.
That is exciting
Yeah.
stuff. How did you get into making art? Can you tell us about your background and how you first became interested in art?
Yeah, so so a little bit, it's some of that theater stuff, right? How I first got interested in theater, I don't know, it was probably always just sitting in my soul waiting for me to say yes or to have the courage or to step forward. Um, just a funny little aside is it was in junior high school where the choir director said to me, "You can sing. Would you like to be in the eighth grade musical?" And I said, "Sure, I think I'd like that." And there was something about being a part of that collaboration and that magic that just like lit up every cell that I had in me. And then I auditioned for a play. So not a musical, but just a play. And I didn't get cast. And I said, "I need to be a part of this. Can I be the stage manager?" And so I was the stage manager. And then there was a girl who never showed up to rehearsals and couldn't take the part that I had wanted. So I played that part. It kind of just like set me on the track from there. Yeah. So I would say that it was really in junior high school when people in the school system and the world started recognizing in me things that when they pointed them out really rang true, that I could step into it.
Love that. So, as with the art you're doing now, how did you get into your specific style?
Yeah, so when I used to live in Massachusetts when my family relocated here in well during COVID, because then my husband didn't need to work in Boston anymore. We were living in the place that we wanted to live in, and I knew that there was not as active a theater community here as there was outside of Boston, where I was doing a lot of work in really wonderful community theaters. Um, and that is when I started really connecting to nature, which was the through line from my childhood, going to the beach, collecting things on the beach. You can see in my studio, I love to be surrounded by my collections. Sea glass is a big thing for me, shells and driftwood. I love the textures. So all of that. And then because I didn't really have a creative outlet, someone who's become a really good friend. And a mutual friend introduced us because her name is Jen. She newly relocated down here around the same time that I did. And the friend said, "You two, I think, should know each other." She does art retreats. She had her own studio called Self-Esteem Through Art. And I was doing yoga retreats and wellness retreats at that time. She was doing these art retreats and had her studio. And I started taking a mixed media class at her studio. And that was probably going on about just maybe a little over 2 years now. And so I stepped in that way. And I felt a little friction, but then I embodied it and told myself this was the thing that I was meant to be doing. And so it's been about 2 years that I've been doing it. And I really credit her and that opportunity for kind of helping me feel more comfortable in the visual art space and the hands-on art space.
What's her last name?
Her name is Jen Pike.
So you answered this already a little bit, but what themes or subjects inspire your work?
Yeah, nature, definitely nature. Yeah, I love being outside, and currently one of the things that I'm doing a lot of is what I did a lot of when I was a kid, is just going out for walks and picking flowers or leaves that are interesting or have interesting patterns or textures, or that I love the way the light catches it, and coming back with my arms full or my little satchel full and bringing them back to the studio. And things like driftwood and the textures in that and the different holes that I don't know, different animals or termites might have made in the wood and the way that it gets worn and the different colors you see because the bark's off of it, all of that. I love paying attention to all of those things. So definitely nature.
Sure. Do you consider yourself neurodivergent or neurotypical?
I'm neurotypical. Neurotypical, but I've been a person who in my life as a teacher, I used to teach preschool, which also was a setting that allowed me to really be creative in all of the ways and to nurture that creativity in others. So I, of course, had a whole variety of people that I interacted with on a daily basis. And so I think as you are the person who's in charge of nurturing, it's really valuable to be able to pay attention to who you're with and what they need in order to be able to give them the experiences that they need to grow and to develop. So within my teaching career, and then also within my family, I have a daughter who is very neurodivergent, very proud of it, and very neurodivergent. So I myself am neurotypical.
All right. Have you faced any challenges or setbacks in your art career, and how did you overcome them?
Yeah, I think the biggest setback was probably moving here and not having the same creative outlets that I used to have and needing to engage in different ways and find that for myself.
You did it.
Yeah, I did do it. Thank you. Thanks for noticing.
Where did you grow up?
I grew up in Western Mass, so just outside of Springfield, which is the big city out there, but kind of in the country cousin of Springfield, Wilbraham, home of Friendly's Ice Cream. If you drive on the Mass Pike, you'll see the big hedge sign. So yeah, there, and it was nice and quiet and a good place to grow up. Yeah.
Did you do art when you were a little kid?
I probably did. I don't think that I felt very met in terms of art in the art space in the public schools, which I know you may ask me about later, but I think I tried. I really do. And I think the art that I would say that I did was more of like weaving flowers together or gluing things on a piece of wood or that sort of thing that I would have done on my own. That would have been the art that I did.
Sounds good to me.
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite colorway for your art? And is the colors for your art or palette for your art the same or different as the colors in your house?
Yeah, it is really the same. It's very, very coastal. And when I first started making art, I was working a lot in watercolors and it was lots of blues and lots of those sort of beigey, sandy kind of neutrals. And that was totally the vibe and is in my house as well. I have challenged myself because I feel like it's important to do that. I've challenged myself just recently to step outside of that color palette and to break open into other colors, including red, which was a big challenge, but it's going well. And I feel like it really has expanded my my tools and my way of seeing and appreciating.
That's cool. So describe the space where you make your art. Where are you? Or where are we?
Well, you're in my studio, which is actually in my garage. But my husband's very generous and we developed this space here. There's a dry sink that my dad made in the 70s that used to be full of my beachcombing collections, and now I have art materials over there as well. So I'm kind of surrounded by a lot of things that mean something to me. So I have that piece, I have my grandmother's bedroom set dresser, and all of the things that make me happy. Yeah, so this is my space, just a kitchen island that I use for storage and for my work table, and it's a place that makes me really happy.
I feel cozy in here too.
Thank you.
How did your school system support your interest in art growing up?
Yeah, I would say, so my earliest memory about art is actually a pretty good one now that I look back. I remember being in second or third grade and the teacher had a wildest Christmas stocking contest. And I remember thinking to myself, I'm gonna win this. I'm gonna throw so much stuff on this Christmas stocking that it's gonna be wild. And I did. And what I loved about that is she also made like a little ornament out of quilling, which is like you take these long strips of paper and you roll them up into like these little scrolls and then you glue them down. And it was this star that had all different kinds of pink designs that she had put on there and glitter. And on the back, in like this purple ink pen, she wrote the wildest Christmas stocking, 1970, I don't know, must have been like 4 or something like that. And I look back on that now, and I don't know that beyond there, I ever felt like people were recognizing in me what was true. I feel like a couple of times I asked for it. For instance, then in third grade, when there was a pageant that everybody was doing for the bicentennial, they cast this and I heard about it and I thought, well, wait a minute, why am I not able to do this? And then they only needed boys. And I said, well, I will be the boy. I will wear the pants and the knickers and have the cardboard gun, and I will be one of the soldiers in this. And they said yes, but I had to ask. So I look back on these things and I think to myself, sometimes the world of education doesn't always value these really sort of personal, intrinsic jewels that we carry around in us. And that has been tragic. And so for me as a teacher, that was always one of the things that I held so close to my heart, is make sure that these people who are showing up every day with me feel valued for who they are. And it doesn't take a special invitation for them to feel like they can step into owning their creativity and their truth.
I love that. I also think that it was very courageous of you to ask.
Mm,
It taught you courage too.
thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
So how do you see your work evolving or changing in the future? What do you have planned?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I think one of the things I learned from theater and from acting and from playing people other than myself is you step into the circumstances. So I just keep showing up for myself and I kind of ask, what's here today? What's inspiring me today? If I think about, I set little goals like that color goal that I set for myself. So there I'll do like little stretch things. I guess in general, what I would like to do is when I create something, it brings me joy to feel the connection with someone else. So when other people are appreciating something, or when I can get my art into the world so people can have conversations about it or take it home or whatever, I do appreciate that. It makes me feel like there's this nice little thread of creativity, right? That we're connected through the things that we create and the ways that we get vulnerable and bring a piece of ourselves into the world. If we can share that with someone, that has meaning to me. So all that to say, I've done a couple of little pop-up galleries. I don't know that I want or need to do anything really big at this time, but I'm looking for those opportunities. Where are the places and spaces in my community where there's an opportunity for what I'm doing to be a good match for other things that are going on in the community?
Love that. Is making art an emotional process for you or strategic?
100% emotional. I have no vision. No vision. I stand up, I show up. I know if I love it or if I don't love it, if I have to change something or not. I work very instinctively that way. I'm not afraid to be messy. I'm not afraid to be wrong. And so it really is just kind of an evolving exploration. And I ask myself sometimes, do you have a vision for this? And sometimes I have inspiration, like I have colors or I have something that's a stepping stone for me to head me into the process or to keep me grounded in the process. But it's never really very strategic unless I'm problem solving, like how do I get this to stick better, or how do I make the color brighter, those kinds of things. But certainly not like a vision. I want to make this thing look like a this. That is not really a piece of how I'm working now. Anyway, for now.
Can you walk us through your creative process from idea to finished piece?
Yeah, it requires inspiration. So it really requires like the leaves that I've collected or the flowers that I've collected or the book pages that have a saying or a quote on them. That is the vibe that I sort of want to infuse in what I'm making. And quite often I actually take words or a poem, or I'll write something down, almost like there's secret stuff in the underneath that somebody else might not ever know. But for me, it's a way of really connecting, kind of head, heart, and physical self to what I'm doing. Yeah, those are really the elements. So that's my process. Get your head in the right space, be paying attention to what you're doing, feel connected to what you're doing and feel like what you're doing is important. And then yeah, I like to stand. I don't like to sit. So I use my whole self and move around a little. Yeah, that's really the process.
That's really good. How do you combine the art you love to make and the art you sell?
Well, how do I combine it? I think it's the same thing for me. I just make what I like to make, and I've been fortunate to have enough people in my circle who appreciate art or appreciate nature or appreciate me and my efforts. So most of the pieces that I have sold have been because of our relationship, um, to this point anyway. Uh, and so the art's the same, the art that I make and the art that I sell. Mhm.
So how do people find your art to purchase?
Well, I just made a website. So this was a big move for me because I think I maybe mentioned I also teach yoga. So my website that I had made last time was about beachcombing and it was about yoga, and it spoke a lot to the retreats and the sort of wellness offerings that I was putting out into the world. And just this past summer, I said, you know what? I don't need that anymore. The yoga stuff is taking care of itself. I'm happy with where that is at. This is the new thing. This is the piece of me that needs to be nurtured. And this is the piece of me that I want to create a platform where people can see what I'm doing, where people can connect with me. So it's my goal that they not only see online, like I tried Etsy, and like all you get is like a little picture this big of something that somebody made. You don't know anything about the person. And to me, life is about relationships. I want people to be able to see where I work, to see what inspires me, to know who I am, because that is the art that I create. And so having a place where people can learn about that on my website now feels really good, really good.
What's the name of it?
It's Kimberly McClure Art, KimberlyMcClureArt.com.
Right.
Yeah, brand new, just like last week. It got unleashed into the world.
I love it.
Mhm.
We'll put that information in the show notes.
Thanks.
So can you share a recent project or a piece of work that you're particularly happy about?
Yeah, I think it just in particular, well, there's so many, but yes, I've loved the collages that I've done, and I've loved the color stretch that I gave myself, and I'm feeling really successful with that vibe. But I honestly think that my favorite thing are these silly little matchbox shrines that I made. They're just like little tiny matchboxes, and inside them there's like a shell or a piece of coral or some textiles or a little watercolor that I did, and like a little inspirational word or couple of words. And then I made them look really rustic on the outside and tied little ribbons around them. And it's a kind of thing that could be stuck on like a desk or just a little shelf or in a little cup holder in your car if there were a message in there that you needed to remind yourself of. My husband calls them some of them my sassy ones, because I did, instead of just wise, I did some that were wise, and then I did some that were like wise AF or worthy AF. And, and he thought those were pretty great, and other people thought they were great too. But I loved those because it was this nice combination of my tendency to be a collector and a beachcomber or a forager in nature, and the art, and then also these little inspirational things, which are a piece of who I am because of the yoga that I teach and the other things that I value in my life. Yeah, Matchbox shrines.
How do you stay motivated as an artist?
Oh, I get outside. I follow other people. I think one of the lovely things that's happened for me is I almost was ready to shut down my social media, and got rid of a whole bunch of people except really close friends and family. And then all of a sudden I started taking online art classes this past year, mixed media online art classes, and the community that started to surface because of that work and that online community has been very inspiring. People all over the world, lots of people in the UK, and it's opened up a lot of possibilities for where my attention will go next, and who I can learn from next, and who are my supporters, and then who are the people that I'm supporting.
Love that. Are there any artists or creatives that have influenced or inspired your work?
Yeah, recently, so this online class that I'm taking is called Fodder School, FODDER, Fodder School. And it's a new teacher each month, and they lead you through a whole bunch of techniques that they're really skillful with, and you share with the online community. I love that, and I've met and been introduced to a lot of different people because of that. It's been extraordinary. And then I have to say, Susan McCreevy in particular, she's a Scottish mixed media artist, and she was the one who shared her techniques for these botanical prints that I have been doing a lot of lately and really loving. So I would say the teachers that I've met in Fodder School and Susan McCreevy, and then my friend Jen Pipe also very, very much inspire me.
I love that. What advice would you give to an aspiring artist looking to pursue a career in the arts?
Yeah, to think of art as the way that you live your life instead of a thing that you are or a thing that you do. To me, some of the most important words have been things like possibility, noticing, just playing, being present, paying attention. I put this watercolor down here and I put this other watercolor. When do they actually touch each other and what happens? There's so much experimentation in that, to stay alive and awake as you move through the world and you walk outside, to literally notice the art in the trees, the art in the flowers, the junk on the ground that people discard and think it has no possibility for anything, but you pick it up and you're, for instance, that whale was a piece of driftwood, and I put it down on my art table, and I thought, I'll glue some things on this. This would be a great substrate to put some of my sea glass and stuff on. And I looked at it and I was like, I can't do that. You're a whale. And then I had to find the like flipper, and I had to find the tail, because when you pay attention to things, there's already so much there. So my advice is paying attention, being present, and living your life in a way that opens you. instead of allowing the world to shut you down.
That's good. What is your favorite book, movie, song, podcast?
Yeah, I don't have favorites. I don't play the favorite game. But let's see. So some movies that I've loved have been associated with different turning points in my life. So I remember the first movie that I loved was actually Pretty in Pink when I was in high school. And I went to and was conducting myself as a very traditional person in the world. And I saw that movie and I was like, wait a minute, there is a whole other way that I can be doing this. There's a whole other way that I can dress and express and be. And so that was really, that stands out to me as and I love that the soundtrack is very evocative to me because of that. It just sets me right back into that time and into that place. And that movie helped me vibe a different way in the world. So whether or not it's a favorite, it was pivotal. Does that make sense? Yeah. Yeah. And books. So another moment for me was I heard this book was coming out. There's this poet that I've appreciated called Jaya John, and he wrote a number of other poetry books that were working really well with some of the wellness work that I was doing. So when this book came out, and I think it's called Dear Artist, You're Loved or something. I'll let you know what the real title is. But and I thought, oh, okay, I'm gonna get that because I like this writer and the messages and the way that he expresses and sees and views the world and the wisdom he has to share. And I opened up the book and the first, so I thought, oh, this is going to be about my like mixed media, my visual art, this like new artist era that I'm stepping into. And I opened up the book and his research for the book had taken place in a theater company. And I thought, this just really bridged all of my stuff. So to me, that is, that's like a soul book to me. That I'll pick up every once in a while and just open and flip through and be like, oh, this is what I'm supposed to be reading today. So, so that's also, I guess, if it's a soul book, I guess it has to be a favorite.
Yeah, I think so. What music do you listen to?
A lot of different kinds of music. Right, I love Randy Carlisle. Right now I'm listening to a lot of Rising Appalachia, which has been really fun to listen to, particularly in the studio and then sometimes for my playlist for yoga classes. But those and then what I call the backseat of my parents' car music is always so all that like 70s rock, folk rock, and all of that. Those are my favorites. Yeah.
Any podcasts?
Not a lot of podcasts. No, not a lot.
What book do you recommend over and over again that might not be your favorite? Or a movie or a song or a podcast? Well, you don't listen to podcasts. But...
Yeah, I don't know if I have a good one for that.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't feel like books have ever really been the thing that I've recommended. No.
Is there a show,
theater
show that you recommend people go see?
I recommend that people see characters who are strong and flawed and vulnerable and complex, because that's how we learn more about ourselves. Stories that tell those characters stories like that are the people that I can learn the most from. Yeah, that.
What do you want to talk about that I didn't ask?
Nothing. You have good questions. You are a good listener. And I thank you for asking me to talk with you today.
Thank you. Well, thank you so much. Thank you for letting us into your studio. Absolutely. Too. I really love it in here. And I felt inspired. Sure. You're very inspirational. Yeah. And we'll see you next time. Yay.